talk now. This MMA, what we talking about? Yeah, you tuned into the pod now. Gonna be hard for you to stop now. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in.
Welcome back to another episode of Caged In. I'm your host, Chris DiCarlo. Today we got a very special guest making his return to the show. It's my guy, Brady Hiestand. How we doing today, brother?
Dude, living the dream. How you been, brother?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a little bit since we talked. I saw you got a fight coming up in a couple weeks. I know I had to get you back on here, man, and chop it up with you.
Let's go. Yeah. Got one. What is it now? 11 days out. So it's coming up quick. I'm feeling pumped, getting skinny, feeling ready to go out there and fight this dude. Feeling ready for a war.
There you go, man. You're going in there June 15th, UFC Vegas 93 versus Garrett Armfield. Of course, I want to talk to you about that one. That's the reason you're here. But I do want to go back, talk about your last fight, and kind of catch up where we kind of left off.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Last fight, April 2023, you went in there versus Batgerel Danaa, got a third-round TKO victory, overcame some adversity in that one. Just real quick, man, walk me through that fight, recap that fight for me. How'd you feel about your performance overall?
Yeah, I think starting off, I don't think that showcased what I'm capable of. A little backstory, that guy is tough. So he was 10 years older than me. I was 23 at the time. He was 33. He was like a world champion kickboxer, savage dude from Mongolia. And he had 3 first-round knockouts in the UFC. So I made sure going into that fight, I was making sure that I was smart. And like maybe I played it a little too safe in that first round. I still thought I won because I ended up dropping him at the end of the first round, but he had a lot of cage control, and it was kind of a lackluster first round, I guess. Not a whole lot happened. They gave him the first round, and then the second round was not my day. I came out and instantly caught me with a left hook, dropped me, fucking got me good. And then I got into the grappling, got his back, fell off the top, and then he actually split my eyebrow, dropping the elbow because he was in my guard. And then I got up and we finished the round. So the second round wasn't too hot. Didn't look too great for me. But I knew, my cardio is off the chain. I got him with some grappling, so I knew I tired him out. So we had some vicious exchanges. And so the third round, he gassed out, and it kind of became my fight from there. I feel like I pieced him up for the first, 3 minutes of that round. And then I took him down with a minute 30 left and then pinned him against the cage and just wailed on him. I think I had 100 strikes on the cage. They weren't the most powerful, but they were just he had nowhere to go. He couldn't move. And so I ended up getting TKO with 40 seconds left and rode off into the sunset. But, I think that third round really showcased what I am as a fighter and what I can do. And I think the problem is I think with all my fights so far, I haven't been able to be myself and show what I'm really capable of. And I think this is going to be the fight where I finally am comfortable enough. I'm mature enough. My body's mature enough. Both my body and my mental are mature enough to where I can put it all together in the cage. Because once I put it all together in the cage, everyone's fucked.
There you go, man. And going back to that matchup with Danaa, you mentioned that he was a stud kickboxer. Was the grappling your kind of go-to game plan for that fight? Because you were kind of throwing a lot of high kicks there in the first round too, kind of setting up that left high kick, and then your grappling exchanges are always strong. What was the overall game plan going in?
Yeah, I think people have categorized me as a wrestler grappler, which I never even wrestled before in my life, just MMA. But I think people underestimate my striking, and I landed a lot of head kicks. I landed a lot of strikes. Like I said, I dropped him in that first round with a left hook. He popped right back up. So I think the judges missed it, but grappling is always a part of the game plan. If it's there, I'm never going to force it. I'm never going to just spam shoot. But if it's there, I know I can wear people out. I know people are going to fatigue in the grappling department, and I know I win every rest. I'll win most grappling exchanges against almost everyone in the bantamweight division. I've yet to be out-grappled in a fight ever, so I don't plan on that ever happening.
Of course, man. And, that was the last time that we had seen you. It's been a little bit since you've been in the cage. You did have 2 fights booked in the meantime. One of them was, August 2023 versus Damone Blackshear. I saw that it was kind of a medical issue that forced you out. What happened there with that one?
Yeah, so I was in Vegas. We were getting ready for that fight. And then my buddy Mike was in Salt Lake against Kevin Holland. And so we were traveling. And in the travel, I got a staph infection. And it got really bad. I can show you a picture. But it got so bad that I had to go to the hospital, and they ended up having to pull my fight because it just wasn't going away.
Right.
And I don't think, I think the travel is what really set it off. So they had to pull me from that. Was in talks with the doctors at the UFC, super understanding, but it was a shitty situation, unfortunately. And then the next fight with Rania was so excited for that fight. It was gonna be my first fight on a pay-per-view in front of a big crowd, and so I was getting ready for that one, and I ended up tearing my knee again, and so it was locked up. I couldn't even walk, barely, and so unfortunately had a bad string of 2 fight pullouts. I hate being that guy, especially, if anyone knows me, I fought the whole Ultimate Fighter with no ACL. I tore my ACL the first week on the show. And so I'm never one to shy away from a fight just because of injury. But at this level, it's necessary to at least have the ability to, stand on 2 legs and be able to go out there and fight in order to compete.
100%.
And so just unlucky last year, but I promise you, and this is coming from true honesty, I feel 100% for this fight. My weight's in order. My body feels good. No injuries. So we're ready to rock and roll.
Let's get it, man. Let's get into your training camp a little bit. I know you are over at Sikjitsu in Spokane, Washington.
Yes,
let's talk about your training camp in general this time around, man. You talked about the knee injury a little bit. When were you able to get back to 100% with the knee? And then when were you able to get back to like 100% in the gym?
Yeah, so I think I was back to training a couple months later, and then I was back to 100 about 4 months later. So I've been training for a while, like probably the last 6 months. And I live in the gym. So even outside of camp, I was in camp kind of, I'm training a couple times a day, making sure I'm getting my body right, eating right. But yeah, so I like to go train in Vegas outside of camp. I get a lot of good looks, get to go test myself against some really high level guys like Marab, Jawaz Riley, Aljamain Sterling, a lot of guys down there at Syndicate MMA. And then, some guys I meet up with at the PI. But I did my whole camp here back in Spokane, homegrown, 509. I got Mike Chiesa, Ashton Charlton, Rick Little in my corner. So they're always there watching over me. They're big guys, so I have my own training partners. A cool addition to this team or this fight camp, I guess, is I've had a guy named Kai Stewart. He's the BKFC 145-pound champ. And so he came. He's actually the guy staying in this room on the air mattress. That's his belt. Oh, let me look. Yeah, so that's his belt, the BKFC belt. So he's came up. We've been getting some stand-up rounds, getting ready for his fight because he fights a week after me. And then I got my core group, Alvin, Caden Shaw, and then a couple guys I got Dimitri Morales coming up from Lewiston, and then a guy named Christian Strong came over from Seattle. And so I got all the partners I need up here. We game planned good and just train with my team. It's been good.
There you go, man. So it sounds like you have a good group of guys around you for this camp. Sounds like everything has been going according to plan. Do you feel like you're going to be at peak performance come June 15th?
Oh, yeah. I'm already peaked. Not to give anything away, but I went in and did my last hard 3 5-minute rounds of sparring yesterday, and let's just say it went really well, and I felt confident. Even weight cutting, even depleted, starving, my body feels like it wants to give up. I performed well, and I can't imagine what it's going to be like fight night when I'm all pasted up, I'm all sugared up, and I'm ready to go.
There you go, man. Very excited to see you get back in there, man. So let's talk about it. UFC Vegas 93, you're going in there versus Garrett Armfield, who is 10-3 as a pro. When did you get this fight offer, man? And why was Garrett Armfield the correct guy for you to fight for your first fight back after a year off?
So here's the backstory of it. So he first got on my radar, obviously, after watching him fight Brad Katona, which was a good fight. I personally thought he lost. It
was a close fight.
It was a close fight, super close fight, and I thought it was very close on the feet. He was backing up, so I gave control to Katona, and the fact that he got taken down and gassed in the third. I thought Katona won. But it was a close fight, and good on him for, even competing with Brad. Brad's a savage. So that was where he first came in. And apparently after the fight, he had, my name had been brought up in an interview, and he said he would love to fight me.
Oh, nice.
And so I was like, okay, I'm down to fight this dude. And then, so I was down in Vegas training. I met up with my manager because we have the same manager. I'm like, okay, I just was like, house, lay it out for me. Who's on my radar? Who can I fight? And he starts going through the names, and he brings up Garrett Armfield. And I'm like, okay, that's perfect. That guy wants to fight me. I want to fight him. We just saw each other in the sauna. We both were like, yeah, I'd be down to fight. And so I'm like, let's make it happen. And so he messaged Sean. Sean messaged us back and said, it's all good to go. So that was kind of the story of it. You know, we're two guys that are on the come up. I think, what is he, like 28? He's a little bit older. Not too much, but
he's slightly older than you. Yeah.
Yeah, but so two youngish guys coming up in the rankings. So I'm ready to go out there and put on a show and ready to, put my name on the map and get this ball rolling.
For sure, man. And what do you know about him outside of, the story you just told? But what do you know about him as like an opponent and as a competitor? And then how do you feel about his game as a fighter?
I think he's a great fighter. I think he's been around for a while. I think he's been boxing since he was a little kid. I think he wrestled in high school a little bit, wasn't that good, but he's got killer boxing. He's slick on the feet. He's moved really well. He's got a lot of movement. Not like the biggest power puncher, but he can finish guys. Obviously, with that one win against the Asian dude, he was able to finish him just by pure accuracy and finesse. Mm-hmm. So I know he has good striking. He has had trouble with the grappling in the past, so that's something I've noticed. But I think he's a great fighter, and I think it's gonna be a good little scrap. But I think I beat him everywhere, honestly.
There we go. And you mentioned earlier that, there hasn't been anybody inside the UFC to out-grapple you. I'm assuming that streak's going to continue on June 15th?
Yeah, I think I've faced way better grapplers than Garrett Armfield.
Of course, man. And what can the fans expect from this matchup between you and Garrett on June 15th when you guys go in there? I'm pretty sure you're opening up the main card. I'm pretty sure as far as the belt order is now, I know that changes every once in a while. What can the fans expect for you guys to kick that night off?
I think they put us at the beginning of the main card because they know it's going to be a banger. I'm going to go out there like I always do. I'm never in a boring fight. I'm ready to go out there and put the pace. We're going to be grappling. We're going to be striking. We're going to be all over the place. It's going to be chaos. And I think I go out there and get the finish by the second round.
There you go. I know the UFC has recently changed gloves. I know they sent out a bunch to everybody. 302 was the first card with the gloves on, and your fight's a couple weekends after that. So you will be one of the first batch of fighters to kind of go out there and compete with these new gloves. What do you feel? What do you know about them, man? How do they feel on the hands? Just give me a quick little review on them. And do you like them better than the old ones?
Yeah, actually, I did a little review on my Instagram page. So if you guys want to go see it, Brady_Bam. Scroll through the reels. I've been posting a lot. But I love them, dude. Because I've grappled. I like to grapple. And the problem with the old gloves is they were so thick around the wrist, and there's like an extra inch of space on the side. So it was so hard to grab people, and it was like just so bulky. But I feel like now, not only will it be getting better for striking, you'll be able to hit people more, hit people harder. You'll be able to sink in submissions so much better. And so that's one thing I'm really excited for. Another thing is like the other gloves would make your hand go flat. Mm-hmm. These ones give it like a natural curve, which is also better for striking because you're not going to be eye poking, and grappling because it's going to be easier to grab. So I think all around, I'm stoked for these gloves. I use them in training a couple times, and they just feel 10 times better.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear that. I was keeping a little bit of a close eye on him at this past weekend at 302, with it being the first event, man. It seemed like the fighters really enjoy fighting in them. I think I've only heard a couple negative comments about the gloves from some fighters, but it seems like for the most part, most of you guys seem to enjoy them.
Yeah, I don't really see a negative in them. I think people that are complaining are just there to complain. Right. But yeah, I like them. And it was kind of funny because 302, everyone's talking about there's going to be more knockouts with these gloves. And I think there was barely any knockouts. Was there even like a knockout from a strikes or anything like that?
Like a clean knockout? Not that I can recall. There was a lot of submissions though. There were a few submissions in there.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone's like, oh no, everyone's going to get knocked out with these gloves. Everyone's going to get cut. And then everyone gets subbed. I think it's kind of funny.
It is funny. And I was keeping my eye on it too, because the eye poke thing, I was worried about the eye pokes because obviously with changing the gloves, hopefully it limits the amount of eye pokes. And then the first fight of the night, there was a couple in Mitch's fight to open up the card. And I was like, God damn it, man. First fight on the card with the new gloves, and we already got a couple eye pokes. But that seems to seem like that was just kind of like a isolated incident and not really something that's focused on the gloves. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, it was good to see Mitch get out there in the UFC. It didn't go his way, and I think the other guy definitely won it, but at least now he gets his fight contract. Somebody he's trained of as a kid.
Yeah, you guys were teammates on Tough, right? You were Team Volkanovski together. What do you think about Mitch's performance, his UFC debut?
I think he looked great. I mean, obviously he's so fluid and crisp on the feet. I think the other guy just had a little bit more, a little more bang for his buck, I guess. Like he was a little bit more powerful in his strikes, which the fucker missed weight by 4 pounds, so it's whatever. But I think he looked really good. I think he looked solid. I think he just needs to go forward a little bit more, and then I think he's going to start finishing dudes. But
I agree, man. He definitely proved himself. He looked like he belonged in there for sure.
For sure, yeah, he's not like these guys are leaps and levels above him. He belongs for sure.
For sure, man. You mentioned him earlier, man. Kai Stewart, BKFC champion. I've noticed that you have been around him a lot recently. So, would you ever consider, going into the squared circle at BKFC? Is that something you would consider, post MMA career?
I'm so laser focused on getting to that UFC title. I don't really think about it that much. But after I get my title, create my legacy, the money's right. The money's right. I didn't realize, but their rounds are only 2 minutes long. So you get 5 2-minute rounds. That's 10 minutes of fighting. That sounds so nice. Right. You can go berserk you can do anything for 10 minutes. That's nothing, bro.
Right.
And so I'm like, that seems nice, but I don't know about the bare knuckle. That shit's raw.
Yeah, man, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, what's kind of like some of the insider knowledge that Kai's been giving to you about BKFC? Since you guys have been spending some time together.
Oh, just like it's kind of weird because it's like not like normal boxing. It's more wrestling. Like there's a lot of clinching and stuff like that. So the style of fighting is a lot different than just like a normal boxing ring because you want to grab the head and stuff like that. So it actually favors a lot of wrestlers, which is kind of interesting. Not that I anticipated. And then obviously the 2 rounds or 2-minute rounds, like I was talking about, I was like, I think it's more feasible for me than I used to be. I used to be like, dude, I don't even like boxing, just straight boxing anyway. So take the gloves off. Fuck that. But, now it's like it's looking a little bit nicer to me, but still, I'm UFC all day.
Of course, 100%. And one last thing before I get you out of here, man. I know Coach Mike Chiesa just had a fight announcement with Tony Ferguson going down at UFC Abu Dhabi on August 3rd. What do you feel about that matchup, man? How do you see Coach Mike going out there and getting the win?
Yeah, for sure, dude. I think this is like the best fight ever for Mike. I love the matchup. Tony's a funny dude. He's a big name, but I think them going up to 70 and fighting each other. Because they're supposed to fight, like, what was it, like 5 or 6 years ago at 155?
Yeah.
And, but now they're doing it at 170, and I don't see how Mike loses this fight. Mike's such a savage. He's got good grappling, crazy good striking defense. So I don't think Tony can touch him here. And I think he gets the finish is he the main event or co-main?
I'm not sure of the belt order for that one. I know they announced a bunch of fights for that card. I'm not sure which order.
Is that pay-per-view?
No, I think it's a fight night in Abu Dhabi. I'm pretty sure.
So they might be co-main or something like that.
They could be. They're definitely going to be on the main card, 100%. It's nice to see a couple tough legends going out there, dude. There's not a lot of tough guys remaining on the UFC roster, so it's nice to still see there's still a bunch of you guys out here competing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's really cool. I think it's showing the change of the times. Like it's switching over. All the superstars of the old are kind of on their way out. Not in a bad way. I mean, they did all their stuff. But like, Dustin Poirier's 36, Volk, all these guys that have created a huge name for themselves are just getting in their later years. And I think it's opening up space for some new talent to come through.
For sure, man. It's like the changing of the guard. Like it always used to be the Ultimate Fighter was like how we brought in new crops of talent. And now it's like Dana White's Contender Series. We still have the Ultimate Fighter, but it seems like a lot of these guys you start seeing it from the UFC now are Contender Series guys and not so much Ultimate Fighter guys anymore.
Yeah. It's like now we just got more of them. It's like a bigger crop.
Exactly. It's a bunch, man. All right, Brady, I appreciate the time, man. Anything that you want to say, anybody you want to thank, anybody you want to shout out before I get you out of here and let you get back to your day?
No, just thank you for my team. 519 all day. Let's go. Spokane's coming to Vegas to take over.
Let's go, man. Brady, thank you for the time, brother. I appreciate you. I'll be tuned in. Can't wait to see you and Garrett kick off the main card. It's going to be a banger. Best of luck to you, man, and have a good rest of your camp and travel and everything in between.
Thank you, brother. You have a good one.
Got down for the count and he can't even talk now. This MMA, what we talking about? Yeah, you tuned into the pod now. Gonna be hard for you to stop now. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in. Yeah, we caged in.